Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Upon hearing the doorbell, Willow sighed and straightened Jasper's collar while admonishing, "Be careful and remember to text me. I want to know you're safe." Jasper nodded in assurance. Taking advantage of his momentary distraction, Willow quickly tiptoed and planted a kiss on his cheek. Then she grabbed her bag and slipped away like a sneaky cat, making its swift exit. Her bodyguards were already waiting outside when she opened the door, standing in formation. Willow walked out like nothing had happened, carrying her bag, and said to the bodyguards, "Come on, take me home." Once Willow and the bodyguards were out of sight, Jasper quickly stepped out as well. He pressed the elevator button and went down to the underground parking lot. As he arrived, he saw Willow's bodyguard car just pulling out. He swiftly got into his own car, starting it to follow the vehicle ahead. After exiting the hotel, Jasper, who initially drove toward the safe house, suddenly changed his mind and followed Willow's convoy of bodyguards. He couldn't rest easy unless he saw her safely home at the Presgrave residence with his own eyes, but just then, his phone rang. He put on his Bluetooth earpiece and answered, "Hello, are you out of danger?" Amy's voice came through, "I've arrived at the safe house." "Where are you?" "I need a little more time." "Hurry back, Jasper. If Wells' henchmen can find me, they can surely find you too. If you keep being with Miss Presgrave, you'll get her killed." Amy spoke mercilessly. At that, Jasper hit the brakes and pulled over by the side of the street amidst the drizzling rain. Her words sent a sharp pain in his heart. Meanwhile, Willow's convoy made a U-turn ahead, swiftly driving past from the adjacent street. From Jasper's vantage point, the three imposing black SUVs blocked his view, but he knew that without his protection, Willow would be safer. The call was still connected, and Amy spoke from the other end, offering advice. "Jasper, if you want Miss Presgrave to be safe, you have to stay away from her. You should know this better than I do." "I know. I'm coming back now." Jasper shifted his gaze to the rearview mirror, his eyes more profound than midnight. The tender feelings he had when he was with Willow seemed to be shrouded in a chill as rationality and clarity occupied his heart. The black SUVs charged forward without hesitation, just like his resolute heart. In the safe house, Amy sat on the couch, watching him. She smiled, stood up, and greeted him, "You're back." After speaking, she sized him up as if searching for subtle traces of a woman on Jasper. "Our people have found those weapons and are sending someone to destroy them. This should anger Bucky. He wants both of us dead now. The organization thinks there's no need to keep this person alive. We are to stay here and deal with these people," Amy said. Jasper nodded, sat on the couch, and took his laptop. The first thing he hacked into was the surveillance of the hotel where Willow was staying. When he saw that Bucky's men had indeed been to that hotel and had also been outside Willow's room, a fierce ruthlessness flashed in Jasper's eyes as he stared at the man appearing in the video, his intent to kill strong. At that, he went to the armory and opened a wall. After retrieving some equipment, he was off. "Where are you going this time?" Amy asked with a quirked brow, having observed all of this. "To complete the mission." Jasper was the type to let his actions speak for himself. Once he set his sights on a target, he had complete confidence in eliminating them. So, those targeted by Jasper should feel fear and tremble. "You're going alone?" She reached out to stop him. "The organization wants us to act together. You stay here and rest. I'll handle the mission." "I want to go with you." Amy looked at him with worried eyes. "I know you want to protect Miss Presgrave, but I also want to protect you." Jasper indeed wanted to eliminate Bucky and his henchmen quickly, for they posed a threat to Willow. Furthermore, all these people were internationally wanted criminals, malignant tumors harming society. They need to be eliminated as soon as possible. No need, he said indifferently. Amy's heart sank. She closed her eyes bitterly and asked, "Do you really like her that much?" Jasper didn't answer, for he didn't have the answer to that question himself. But he knew that he wouldn't allow anyone to threaten Willow's safety. Just as he was about to leave, Amy ran up and stopped him. "Jasper, I can report you if you don't comply with the organization's arrangements. You know full well the consequences." With that, she emphasized, "I have to go with you." Jasper was certainly better suited running solo than working in teams. However, it was the organization's rule to work in teams. Hence, its members had to act together, or they would be regarded as disregarding organizational discipline. "Step aside, Amy," Jasper said gravely. "No, I can't have you go into danger alone. I know you're fully capable of going on this mission alone, but we'll be safer in pairs." Amy wasn't joking either. She didn't want Jasper to go on the mission alone. However, determination enveloped Jasper's eyes, and he walked past her to leave. Amy bit her lip, furious, glaring at his retreating figure with resentment. Jasper doesn't need to kill Bucky so urgently at all. We will get our chances as long as the man is still in the country. But Amy could tell Jasper was worried that Bucky's men would threaten Willow's safety. That was why he was in such a hurry to get the job done. He was concerned about Willow. Just then, her phone rang, and she walked over to answer it. "Mr. Antoine. You two have reached the safe house, haven't you? Rest up before proceeding with the mission." Antoine Wyatt's voice came from the other end. "Your dear nephew has gone on the mission alone. There's no talking him out of it," Amy reported resentfully. "What? He went alone? That stubborn rascal still can't follow the rules and comply with organizational arrangements." Antoine huffed resentfully as well. However, he believed his nephew would return successfully, like he always did. But this annoying worry he carried gave concern to someone behind him. "Amy, Jasper is used to working independently. You should be more at ease. It's not that he dislikes you." Antoine had to console her. Amy forced a bitter smile. "I know. All right, report to me immediately if there's any situation." Antoine hung up on his end. However, Amy was still upset. She picked up the laptop and searched for Jasper's whereabouts. Their locations were linked, and at the moment, Jasper's signal was rapidly moving, indicating that he was in a car. As for his destination, it turned out to be the hotel where Bucky was located. Amy suddenly remembered seeing him take a sniper rifle when he was gearing up. At that, she sighed. Jasper's skills were indeed outstanding. Once he set his sights on someone, there was no escape. Moreover, as long as he had a gun in his hand, he had the confidence to shoot through anything. Suddenly, she felt helpless. She believed, to him, she wasn't a comrade but a burden. When Willow returned home, Anastasia had also woken up. She threw on a jacket and went downstairs to check on her returning daughter. She had been anxious all night, knowing Willow was out there alone while the thunder and lightning roared intensely. "Mom, why are you awake at this time?" Willow blinked. "Worried about you, of course. Which friend were you with?" Troy," Willow answered somewhat guiltily. Anastasia's eyes lit up in response. "Do you like Troy?" Willow had been spending a lot of time with Troy lately, and it hadn't gone unnoticed by Anastasia. Troy came from an excellent family background, and Anastasia was satisfied with both his background and character. If Willow liked him, she would support her. "What kind of like are you referring to?" Willow countered, and Anastasia threw the question back at her. "That depends on your feelings for him. I mean, we like each other as friends. Troy and I are like childhood friends or maybe long-lost buddies." "It's not what you think, Mom," Willow answered graciously, leading Anastasia to smile. Most relationships started from being friends. Anastasia wasn't desperate to marry her daughter Wei either. After all, Willow was still young. It would be good if they dated for a few more years and allowed her to mature before settling down. All right. You're dad and I won't interfere. After all, you've grown up. But the most important thing is to remember not to put yourself in danger. The kidnapping continued to traumatize Anastasia to this day. Willow was her precious baby girl. All she wanted for this little one was to live a safe and peaceful life. Got it, Mom? Willow went up and held her mother's arm affectionately. You should go back to bed, Mom. I'm going to sleep too. All right, go to sleep. Anastasia ruffled Willow's hair and returned to her room. Willow, too, retreated to her bedroom. After closing the door, she checked the time. It was only 6:30 a.m. She still had to wait 30 minutes before confirming Jasper's safety. He promised he would report his safety at that time. Willow was beyond sleepy at that point, yawning even, yet she was determined to read Jasper's text as the first second. Meanwhile, Bucky's henchmen searched the entire city all night but failed to locate the two agents' whereabouts. Naturally, Bucky, who had been waiting all night, hit the roof. But little did they know that the person they were looking for was currently at the hotel they were settling in, his sniper rifle set up and aimed at their room. Jasper adjusted the angle, kneeling on one knee with his slender fingers resting on the trigger. Death had descended upon Bucky while he angrily unleashed his wrath upon his henchmen. In the living room. After he finished scolding and venting his anger, he lit a cigar, standing by the window. His henchmen behind him dared not make a sound after a round of scolding. They hated those two agents to the core. Just as Bucky took his first puff of the cigar, a sudden gust of cold wind blew in the air. It happened so fast that he couldn't react. A bullet directly pierced through his forehead, then hit one of the henchmen behind him before coming to a stop. Sniper! The other henchman instantly panicked, looking at Bucky lying dead on the ground. Naturally, they thought about escaping for their lives. However, in the midst of their panic, two more people fell to the ground. The remaining two were drenched in a cold sweat, hiding in the darkness, not daring to take even a single step, for the sniper's position was directly aimed at their door. There was a danger of being shot if they tried to open it. Evidently, the sniper was a formidable one. He had blocked all their escape routes. The two henchmen wiped away their sweat and didn't dare to make a move. Still, they had to try to escape. As a result, the two covered for each other and moved quickly together, even lifting up the couch to block the windows, preparing to flee. Hurry up, let's go! At this moment, these two henchmen only wanted to stay alive. The fear emanating from the sniper across the street loomed over them, filling them with a sense of despair. Jasper turned grim as he watched the two fleeing henchmen. He swiftly and neatly retracted his gun into its holster, then walked briskly toward the elevator. Only the cleaning ladies were in the apartment at the moment. One of them accidentally knocked over a trash can, and Jasper happened to pass by. He casually helped the cleaning lady pick up the trash can, and she couldn't help but express her gratitude, saying, "Thank you, young man." Little would the cleaning lady know that a minute ago, that very young man had killed 5 men. Jasper quickly descended the stairs and got into his car. He had installed a tracker on all of Bucky's vehicles. At this moment, one of the cars on his tracker was desperately trying to escape. At that, Jasper hit the gas and pursued the vehicle. Right then, his eyes were filled with nothing but animosity. The two henchmen didn't know where to flee to. All they knew was the further, the better. As for what to do after leaving the country, they would only figure it out after doing so. While making a phone call to report Bucky's death, the two henchmen fled toward the surrounding mountains before eventually entering a wastewater plant. At that, they got out of the car to catch their breath. I swear it had to be those two agents, said one of the henchmen, looking disheveled. We have to leave this country before they kill us too. Let's hide here for a while and leave in the afternoon. Okay. I'll go find a place to relieve myself. Meanwhile, the other henchman pulled out a pack of cigarettes and lit one up. Just then, he heard the sound of a car approaching. The moment he heard the approaching vehicle, death approached him as well. He saw a car rushing out of the woods and heading straight for his vehicle. Wide-eyed, he watched as the front of the car collided with him. In the next second, he was crushed between the two vehicles. The henchman who had gone to relieve himself heard the crash from above and quickly ran deeper into the forest. Behind him, a figure gave chase. The man wasn't unarmed either, and he knew he wouldn't be able to run far. He had to kill the agent to survive. With that, he immediately took cover behind a large tree, then fired 2 shots toward his pursuer from behind before hiding elsewhere. However, he still lacked mental strength as he panted heavily, unable to calm down, for the person behind him was beyond intimidating. Indeed, the figure not far away remained calm and composed, just like a cheetah pursuing its prey. He had plenty of patience and endurance. Bucky's henchman had gone mad. The more chaotic it got, the more important it was to stay calm and rational. However, he just wanted to kill this agent quickly. Seeing a tree shaking as soon as he turned around, he immediately rushed over and fired a few shots. However, as he went on a killing spree, a black muzzle suddenly pressed against the back of his head. "Don't kill me." The henchman freaked out, cold sweat running down his face. He surrendered and turned around, only to attempt to shoot the next second. However, Jasper was faster by half a second. The trigger had already been pulled, and Jasper skillfully avoided the bullet fired by the henchman. Just as the assassination mission ended beautifully, an alarm sounded. Jasper pulled his phone out, stopped the buzzing, then sent a message while walking. "I'm fine. Don't worry," he sent to Willow. The alarm was also to remind him to text the young woman at 7 a.m. True to form, Willow received his message right on time. She smiled and replied, "I don't believe you. Take a selfie." Jasper hesitated but eventually complied with Little Miss Priestgrave's demanding request. He extended his hand, took a selfie, then sent it over. As such, Willow received a vertically oriented selfie of a man, taken from a mysterious angle but with the background of sunny, green leaves. Despite that, the man still looked handsome and compelling. "Your eyes are too intense. Can't you be a little gentler? Smile for me, will you?" Willow sent another message. Jasper was rendered at a loss for words. Little Miss Priestgrave sure can make unreasonable demands. At that, he let out a murky breath, adjusted his somewhat tense countenance, then smirked at the camera. After a snap, he sent it to Willow, who rolled around in bed after seeing the photo, feeling satisfied. Then, something hit her, and she asked, "What are you doing in the wilderness?" "I'm jogging," Jasper replied. "Oh, is that so? All right, carry on. I'm going to sleep." "You have no idea how sleepy I've been, waiting for your text," Willow texted, causing Jasper to frown. "Has she been awake all this while?" "Go sleep," he said. After that, he called the Domestic Security Agency, reporting his current location and asking them to come and handle things on their end. Jasper reversed the car, and although there were some dents on the front bumper, it didn't affect his driving. He drove straight back to the safe house. Jasper's phone rang while driving, and he glanced at it before answering. "Hello? How dare you fly solo again, you punk? How many times have I told you?" Antoine scolded from the other end. "The mission is complete. That still isn't an excuse for you to leave your teammates behind. You should know that they are an extra layer of security for you. They can provide support if something happens to you." Antoine was genuinely concerned about his safety. I've accumulated some leave days, haven't I, Uncle? Why? Do you want to take a break? Can you sum up the days I've collected over the last 5 years? I want to use it all up at once. What? Over the last 5 years? Yes, over the last 5 years. That means you'll be away for 3 months. That's it? Give me another 3 months. I want to take 6 months off. Jasper insisted. You rascal. Fine. 6 months it is. What are you planning to do during your break? I won't report anything from my personal time. With that, he ended the call, leaving Antoine frothing at the mouth. By the time Jasper returned to the safe house, Amy had already been notified to report back. Of course, she had also received arrangements from the organization as well. As Jasper's leave had become effective immediately, he didn't need to return with her. Her heart felt torn, aching, unwilling, and helpless, for everything but the heart could be controlled in this world. Falling in love with someone was like being intoxicated. If the love was reciprocated, there would be a cure. Contrariwise, the poison would be lethal. Have you decided to stay by her side, Jasper? Amy asked calmly, suppressing her heartache. Thank you for your hard work, Amy. I have some personal things to take care of next, answered Jasper. To him, the young woman was both his subordinate and his comrade. However, there was no romantic love. Amy suddenly closed her eyes, and tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. Amy, I appreciate your support in my work. You're a good comrade and subordinate, said Jasper as he handed her a piece of tissue. I don't want to be just your comrade or subordinate. I want. Amy reached out, trying to embrace him. Jasper immediately stepped back, leaving Amy's hand hanging in the air. She bit her lip and withdrew her hand. Then, she turned around, grabbed her bag, and quickly left the safe house. At that moment, she realized there could never be a relationship between her and Jasper that even allowed for a hug. Jasper sighed under his breath. He was absolutely terrible at dealing with emotions. While eating breakfast, Willow checked her emails only to choke when she read a certain email. Wait, has it started already? How come I wasn't notified? Just then, her phone rang, and she answered it. Hello? International Cultural Heritage. Willow, what have you been busy with lately? Why haven't you responded? It was someone from the Bureau of International Cultural Heritage. I'm on break and didn't see the email. Have you guys already departed? Yeah, we're gathering right now. You should hurry up and join us. You can't be absent from this expedition to Elysian Island. Of course, Willow couldn't afford to be absent. This was originally a cultural heritage protection battle she had initiated within the organization. It was her mission, and it all began a year ago when she found a piece of parchment inside a domestic cultural relic. After cleaning and processing it, she discovered that it contained a documented segment of true history. Due to this historical account being overlooked in historical records, someone had documented it in the parchment scroll. After researching it, it was indeed a well-preserved parchment that had survived for 1,000 years. The record clearly stated that a high-ranking official set sail with 18 large ships 1,000 years ago to visit another country. His ships were laden with treasures and crew members, but they disappeared at a place called Elysian Island. Since then, they have used various modern technologies to trace the island's whereabouts. Eventually, they pinpointed the location where the official vanished on a map. Not only that, they also received information that artifact smugglers had set their sights on this island. As cultural heritage workers, they would be competing with multiple groups of international artifact smugglers to be the first to find the island and protect the artifacts on it. Furthermore, at Willow's urging, they would return all the millennia-old cultural relics belonging to the country. For Willow, it wasn't just a job, but her way of contributing to the country's cultural heritage. How could she be absent? "All right. I'm leaving right away," she answered. "We'll be waiting. Time is of the essence. We received confidential information that the artifact smugglers have already sent out their people." "Understood. See you then," Willow replied. After hanging up the phone, Willow went to talk to her parents about this. She had brought this up with them before, so Elliot and Anastasia didn't stop her from doing what she wanted to do. "However, there's one rule you must abide by. You must let the bodyguards stay by your side at all times to protect you." "Got it, Dad. I'll be sure to keep myself safe." Willow nodded earnestly. Elliot assigned 2 female bodyguards to stay with Willow at all times and arranged for 6 additional male bodyguards who would hang around in the vicinity to protect her. He was going to keep an eye on his daughter's every move too, and was ready to rush over immediately if there was any danger. Willow was worried that the smugglers would succeed in finding and looting the cultural relics before they got there, so she couldn't afford to waste any more time. Although she also wanted to spend more time with her parents and couldn't bear to part with Jasper while he was still in the country, she had to set those feelings aside for work. Before leaving, Willow sent a text to Jasper. "I'm leaving for work. Let's meet up when I come back." At this moment, Jasper was resting in a safe house. Due to his mission, he hadn't had any proper sleep in almost 3 days. However, when he heard his phone beeping, he immediately opened his eyes, picked up his phone, and sat up. He saw the text from Willow. "Where are you going?" Jasper texted back. "I'm heading to the coastal area along the border between Yelena and Koska. My team and I are heading out on a mission to protect cultural artifacts. I'm on my way to the airport now. See you." "See you." After sending the text, he swiftly got up and started working on his laptop, but he wasn't doing official work for the organization. It was a private matter. Soon, he had hacked into the database of the Bureau of International Cultural Heritage where Willow worked, and retrieved information regarding Willow's assignment. There was a parchment scroll which was the agreement regarding the ownership of the cultural artifacts' protection rights, and Willow's signature was on it. So, it was Willow who initiated the cultural artifacts protection operation. I underestimated the nature of her work. Despite being a young woman, she actually wields a lot of power at work. Her work is very meaningful too. Jasper dialed his uncle's private number. "Hello? Uncle, I need you to do me a favor." "You're actually asking me for a favor? Go ahead and tell me what you need." This was a first for Antoine Wyatt. "I want to join the Bureau of International Cultural Heritage and complete a private mission. Arrange an identity for me, one with authority." "What? Have you started taking on private jobs now? Did you run out of money? Have you used up the billions your parents left you?" Antoine asked incredulously. "No. I'm just protecting someone." "Who? Is it a man or a woman? Just send me the details before 3:00 p.m. I'm hanging up now, Uncle." "You brat. Is this the attitude you take when you're asking someone else for help?" Jasper ended the call before Antoine could carry on complaining. Alas, Antoine's words had stirred up the secret that Jasper buried deep within him. 20 years ago, a tragedy occurred in this very city. Carl Wyatt, the founder of a company worth billions, and his wife were both murdered by their enemies. Their only son miraculously survived, but he disappeared, and so did the billions the family left behind. 20 years later, a similar tragedy was reported in a foreign newspaper. 3 wealthy men had died at a party on a yacht. The police released the photos, which showed that the 3 had died horrific deaths. It looked as if they had been brutally interrogated before being executed. That had been Jasper's first mission after leaving the Special Forces. He personally avenged his parents' death. He had only been 21 years old at the time, and the organization detained him for 2 years because of his actions. In the end, his uncle rescued him, and after an intensive selection process, he was selected to join the Special Operations Unit. For 5 years, he excelled at his job, and none of his missions ended in failure, and his stellar record led to him becoming a team leader. The Presgrave's private plane took off from the airport runway and soared into the sky. Half an hour later, a tall man in a hoodie went through the security checks at the airport. He now had a new identity: Hugh Wyatt, a special representative from the International Cultural Heritage Research Institute. Willow's plane arrived at the rendezvous point. It was a dock, as they would be taking a boat to the first island. They would be visiting 7 islands in total. The place was called the 7-Star Archipelago because it looked like 7 stars dotted along the ocean when seen from the sky, which was a spectacular sight indeed. Up to now, they had very limited information about the place. All they had were the information recorded on that piece of parchment. However, the parchment had been found in the ancient tomb of an extremely famous prime minister in history. Therefore, the information on it was most likely accurate, and that was the reason why Willow and the others were willing to invest their time and money to take this risk. The mission of protecting cultural artifacts was a daunting and challenging one. They had to possess unwavering determination in the face of obstacles. Willow was a capable leader. She formed the team in just 3 months and was also able to recruit an archaeology professor for additional support. "Nice to meet you, Professor Ledford." As soon as Willow entered the hotel, she paid a visit to the professor, who was highly acclaimed in the field of archaeology. "You've worked hard, Miss Presgrave. It is our country's honor to have people like you protecting our nation's cultural heritage." Cosmo Ledford also showed great admiration for Willow. Despite her young age, she had already made quite a name for herself in the field of cultural artifact preservation. "Not at all. This is what we should do. Since we've taken up this responsibility, we can't give up so easily," Willow declared with a smile. Now that she was away from her parents' protection and her identity as the Presgrave's daughter, she was able to be herself and show maturity when it came to interacting with others. "Very good. It's a blessing for our country that we have the younger generation who can take over from the older generation," Cosmo complimented. The team leader, Cameron Torres, came over to greet Willow as well. He had extensive experience in archaeological exploration. Willow paid out of pocket to hire him, and he did take the mission very seriously as he made sure everything was well prepared. "We should be leaving now, right, Mr. Torres?" Willow asked him. "Wait just a little longer, Willie. One of our team members hasn't arrived yet." "There's someone who's even later than me?" Willow asked in surprise. She thought she would have been the last, as she was 3 days late in checking the email. "We just heard the news that we have an additional special representative from the International Research Institute. It's someone named Hugh Wyatt. We have to wait for him." "Hugh Wyatt? I don't think I've heard that name before." Willow was startled. She had spent 2 years at the International Research Institute and met everyone worth noting during her time there. Furthermore, he had to be holding quite an important position if he could join her team at the drop of a hat. "All right. Let's wait for him. I'll go over the map with the others first." "Sure. I'll bring him over to you once he arrives," Cameron said. Half an hour later, a taxi pulled up outside the hotel. Once it came to a stop, the door opened and a man with a black backpack stepped out. He was wearing sunglasses, and the first thing that struck people was the powerful aura that emanated from him. It was as if this man was bursting with a kind of force that was terrifying and not to be underestimated. As for his appearance, the expressions of the young women who had just arrived made it clear. They had forgotten all about their luggage as they stared at him in daze. "Oh, my. They did not think they would be meeting such a handsome man at their hotel. He's so handsome. So stylish. His face is flawless. Jasper's long legs made quick work of the short trip into the lobby. It just so happened that one of the team members was sitting there, and he couldn't help but come forward and ask, "Excuse me. Are you Mr. Hugh Wyatt?" "Yes. I am." Jasper nodded. "You're finally here. Come this way, please. I'll take you over to our team leader." Cosmo swiftly came over to greet Jasper, and then he said, "Let me introduce you to one more person, Mr. Wyatt. She has been looking forward to meeting you." The corners of Jasper's mouth curved up ever so slightly. "Is that so? Do lead the way." Willow and some of the other team members were busy poring over the map of the islands with a magnifying glass as they tried to find clues regarding the exact location based on geomancy and astrological calculations. She was still busy with her thoughts when the door opened. She didn't turn around because she thought it was probably just one of the students who came in. However, Cameron's voice rang out behind her. "Willow, the special representative, Mr. Hugh Wyatt, is here." Willow finally set the magnifying glass down and turned around to look at the newcomer with a polite smile. Her expression went from shock to joy in mere seconds, and she nearly threw herself at him. It was the meaningful look from him that made her compose herself. She cleared her throat and walked over to greet him courteously. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Wyatt. I'm Willow Pressgrave, the sponsor of this archaeological expedition." Willow held her hand out. Jasper shook it and said, "I'm Hugh Wyatt, the special representative." His crisp, deep, and magnetic voice drew the attention of 3 young women on the team. "Oh, my. What a young and handsome special representative." Willow smiled. "Can I speak to you in private, Mr. Wyatt?" "Of course. Please come with me to my room." Willow walked off. Jasper followed close behind. Willow opened the door and gestured for him to go, in which he readily did. As soon as Willow closed the door, she threw herself at the man and flung her arms around his neck. "Why did you come here?" she couldn't help but ask. Jasper held her by the waist to save her from exerting herself. "I'm on my break right now, so I came here to protect you." Willow was startled. "You're on your break right now? You came here just to protect me?" Her heart warmed as a dazzling grin spread out across her face. "That means you're trying to woo me, Mr. Wyatt." Jasper looked at her with smiling eyes and said nothing. "Are you or aren't you?" Willow wanted a straight answer. "If you're not, then I don't want you to protect me. My dad sent me 8 bodyguards anyway. I have enough people to protect me." All of a sudden, Jasper wrapped his arms around her and rested his chin on her head. "Can you not expect quite so much from me? Isn't it good that I came?" Willow buried herself in his arms and nodded. "Okay. Fine. I won't ask him to say why he came. It's enough that I know he came because of me." Just then, Willow's phone started ringing. She checked the screen and said nervously, "My dad's calling me." "Go ahead and take the call." "Hi, Dad," Willow said into the phone. "I hired 4 chefs for you, Willow. They'll follow you around the islands." "That's not necessary, Dad." Willow chuckled awkwardly. "I'm not here on vacation. I'm working. You don't need to hire chefs for me. What if you can't get used to eating the food that's available there?" Elliot was worried about his daughter and sorely wished he could head over and act as her bodyguard himself. Willow looked at the man on the couch before responding with a smile, "Don't worry, Dad. I'll take good care of myself. In any case, many important people are coming along on this trip. It would be so embarrassing if I brought a bunch of chefs with me too." She was certain that any meal she shared with this man would be an enjoyable one. "Okay. As you wish." Elliot had no choice but to abide by Willow's wishes. Don't worry, Dad. I'll come back safe and sound, and I'll make sure I don't lose any weight too. I'll still be your happy and healthy little girl when I get back, Willow assured Elliot. All right. Make sure you keep in touch, Elliot reminded. I will, Dad. I'm hanging up now. Willow ended the call and walked back to the couch. She was already missing his embrace and wanted to dive back into his arms. Willow sat across from Jasper with her beautiful eyes fixed on him as if she feared that he would vanish in a blink of an eye. If someone else stared at Jasper the way she did, they would have either gotten a serious beating by now or been totally ignored instead. However, Willow's gaze led to the hint of redness slowly creeping over Jasper's handsome face. He could no longer be as calm as he usually was. Instead, he was behaving like a teenage boy who felt shy and flustered in front of the girl he liked. What are you looking at? Jasper had to ask. Willow could tell that her staring had made him shy. She laughed and said, I'm looking at the handsome man in front of me, of course. What's the matter? Am I not allowed to look? In reality, she wasn't just looking at him. Her eyes were boring into his soul. She looked like she was trying to see right through him. Jasper never cared about his looks before, but at this very moment, he hoped that she wouldn't be displeased by his appearance. How did you become the special representative? It's not easy to get in. If I knew you were coming, I could have made up an identity for you. Willow was worried that he had to plead with someone else again. My uncle got it done for me, Jasper told her. The truth. I see. Let's go then. Don't worry. I'll take you under my wing and I'll even take good care of you. Willow patted Jasper on the shoulder and giggled. Jasper couldn't help but smile. 10 minutes after the duo headed back out, the entire team departed for their destination. Willow was wearing a sky blue winter jacket that made her svelte figure seem even more tall and slender. Jasper was also given a black winter jacket. As he stood with the team that included over a dozen other young men, there was no denying that he stood out from the crowd. Willow got into the vehicle and Jasper immediately sat beside her. While Willow was busy arranging her bag, Jasper reached out and helped her with her seatbelt. She flashed him a smile before she realized that he was the one taking care of her. 6 of set off toward the nearest pier. It was quite an imposing sight that made it clear just how much money had been pumped into this expedition. The team was full of talents and everything was well prepared. At the pier, Jasper followed closely behind Willow and did everything from helping her onto the ship to carrying her bag for her. Willow's 8 bodyguards realized that they had been left with nothing to do. Their task was not only to protect Willow but the entire team as well. They would soon be entering international waters, and apart from the citizens from other nations who lived on the islands, there were also rumors of pirates who frequented the area. Ordinary people would never venture into these waters. They were doomed if they ended up running into the pirates. The ship cut through the waves at top speeds as it headed out to international waters. Willow was supposed to share her room with a female bodyguard, but she made Jasper her roommate instead. It meant that they could be together the whole time they were on the ship. Jasper had refused at first, but Willow insisted and he eventually gave in. Thanks to the Pressgrave's deep pockets, the equipment for the expedition consisted of all the best things that money could buy. Even Willow's room was rather lavish with its double bed, ensuite bathroom, luxurious couch, and floor-to-ceiling windows. Out on the deck, the female bodyguard had no choice but to report this back to the family. Their assignment was to protect Willow, and they couldn't help but worry over the fact that she was sharing a room with a man. When Elliot heard the news, he growled anxiously, "Who's he? How can Willow share a room with another man? Are there no other rooms on that ship? He's a special representative named Hugh Wyatt. Send me a photo of him." Elliot was on the verge of exploding. She had only just left my sight. How is it that a man has sunk his claws into her already? I won't allow it. I don't care who he is. He needs to stay away from her. Naturally, the female bodyguard had secretly snapped a photo of Jasper, so she quickly sent it over. Elliot was stunned when he saw who the man was. How could it be him? It was Jasper Wyatt from Interpol's Special Operations Unit. Why is he joining Willow's team? Is he there on an assignment? Is her team in some kind of danger? Elliot knew that the Special Ops would only go on missions to places where serious events could happen. If Elliot wanted answers, he would need to ask Willow, so he called her immediately after hanging up on the female bodyguard. Willow had just finished putting her things away when she heard her phone ringing. After seeing who it was, she hurried out onto the balcony before she answered, "Hi, Dad." "Willow, why is Jasper Wyatt with you?" Elliot came right out and asked. Willow wasn't surprised. There were 8 pairs of eyes on her at all times. Every single thing she did would undoubtedly get back to her father within a moment's notice. "He's on a break right now, Dad, so I invited him over to protect me." "Don't worry. I'll be even safer with him around, right?" Willow said cheerfully. "That doesn't mean he needs to share a room with you." Elliot huffed. "I'm sure you've looked into him before, Dad, so you know what he's like." "He's a decent man," Willow declared reassuringly. "It's improper." "Well, I don't care about it, Dad, so why are you so hot and bothered by it?" "I'll never be able to get married if you keep acting like this." Willow's temper flared up too. Elliot was speechless. Alas, it couldn't be helped. He was the one who spoiled and pampered her all this while. He was defenseless against her temper. "Do you trust him so much?" Elliot asked. "I trust him, Dad, so can you please trust him too?" Willow pleaded. She was afraid her father would put pressure on Jasper somehow. "Fine. Look out for yourself. Call me if anything happens." "Got it, Dad. Bye," Willow said sweetly. She had no clue that as soon as their call ended, Elliot immediately made a call to Richard. "Hey, Elliot. Richard, what do you know about a guy named Jasper Wyatt? What's his character like? Can he be trusted? Does he have any history of bad behavior? Also, look into his background. I want as many details as possible." "What's the matter?" Richard asked with a chuckle. Willow invited him along on her archaeological expedition. "Relax. I trust Jasper. But Willie's sharing a room with him. How am I supposed to relax?" Elliot cried out in frustration. Richard was a little taken aback. After a few seconds, he said, "Do you still remember the Wyatts, the family that got wiped out overnight? Jasper's the only child from that family who survived. He has a stellar record with his unit and excels in every way possible. With him keeping Willow safe, you've got nothing to worry about." "But if this is what Willow wants, Elliot, shouldn't you respect her decision? Do you still think she's a little girl who'll stay by your side forever and never grow up? Be a little more discerning and have an open mind. Are you saying that this Jasper fellow could be my future son-in-law?" Elliot's brows furrowed. "Where else would you find such a capable candidate?" "Willow has a good eye," Richard complimented. Elliot was still anxious, but he trusted his friend's opinion, so he had no choice but to calm himself down and let his daughter make her own decisions. After all, she was all grown up now. After the call, Willow secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Thank goodness Dad didn't demand that Jasper and I stay in different rooms. She went back into the room and saw Jasper sitting on the couch. He seemed a little bored, so she took out her notes and handed them to him. "As the special representative, you'll need to have a basic understanding of this expedition, or else, you might easily blow your cover. Here are my notes. You can kill time by looking through them." Jasper took her notes and began to flip through them in all seriousness. Willow sat down and watched him, but eventually, the swaying motion of the ship and her exhaustion both led to her eyes drifting shut as she dozed off.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.